But my point as far as what this program is, I would only do something if I thought it set a precedent where students would feel more capable in expressing themselves, where students wouldn't have to live in fear.
Our very first defense should be institutions that at the very least apply their own policies fairly when people are clearly in the wrong, like this professor is.
Exactly. So listen, we're really glad to have my half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond in studio here today in third chair. Crowder Confronts went up, a lot of plays, a lot of people talking about it. A lot of people are saying that we need to sue for libel or slander, which is not really what we do here. We have to pick our legal battles. I want to know what your opinion is when you watch the video and when enough is enough, or what you think should be done. Before we talk about the legality with my half Asian lawyer Bill Richmond, Bill, what do you think? A lot of people are saying you should sue this teacher or this school, which we never set out to do. We tried to reach out to their lawyers. We reached out to the cops to see if there had been a report filed for all the death threats. There wasn't. And nothing was done. What do you think in this case? What's the right thing to do?
You become very concerned about if something isn't done, that it continues to happen. What if it's someone who doesn't have a platform to be able to fight back, or someone that has an audience, and you worry about what are the impact on certain students, and they feel that they see someone in power at this university is getting away with telling blatant lies, accusing people of crimes, and what do they learn about the system?
Is that a crime, by the way, threatening to kill someone's son and also calling for genocide?
In at least 48 states.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to visit the two.
Yeah, I mean, and so the idea that either the university wouldn't step in to do something, and sure, they've got other considerations, whatnot, but when you get to something that's so very clearly over the line, it becomes a matter of not just the university, not just the students, but perhaps even the parents. And I think we've seen some backlash from folks in the community who say, why would I want to send my student or send my son or daughter to a place that's allowing this kind of defamation, this kind of accusations?
You don't go as low as the left. Listen, we haven't slandered the guy.
No.
We haven't committed libel. We've never said we've never made any false claims that he's a Nazi or that he's, I don't know, but maybe he could be a communist. We never made the claim that he is a communist. We've never made any false direct claims that he's committed, and we wouldn't want to do that. And here's the truth. When people say nothing will change until you sue because this guy will go on as usual, I don't know that that's true. Having the biggest conservative YouTube channel out there is a platform, and we've been blessed with it, and it also affords us the ability to shine a light on this. And we also don't want to be fighting every single Tom, Dick, and Harry. We could be focusing on content. So there is a give and take. Bill, to go back to you, first off, what's the difference libel and slander for people who don't know? In this case, it's both.
So we talked about this in the Barely Legal, but the libel part is going to be the written part, and slander is going to be anything that's done verbally. So both of those fall under the umbrella of defamation, but it's the way in which it's conveyed. So newspaper versus speaking it, or you're doing it at a rally or some type of thing like that. And those are the olden terms that have still carry forward today, particularly in certain states.
Well, okay, so in this case, obviously, I would imagine that this lecturer or professor doesn't have a whole lot, right? So as far as with slander, with libel, you were talking about this, it's about damages.
So it can be. There are certain types of defamation that require damages. There are certain types of defamation that do not. They're defamation per se, or certain types of defamation that would only have nominal damages. And so,
by the way, hold on a second. That was a legal term when he said definition per se. It wasn't like a basketball player. Like, different kinds of defamation per se. That's an actual term. It sounded redundant.
He's really a lawyer.
Whoever's doing the closed captioning, just put those in italics. That will tell you that it's Latin.
Yes, exactly.
So, but the point. And so there's the different ways to approach it. And defamation law is an important area. It changes in every state. It changes even decade to decade and year to year because of some of the cases that come out. But some of the things that become very clearly part of the problem and get very far over the line are when you're accusing someone of a crime multiple times when you know that it's not the case. And that's something that would very clearly rise to the level of malicious. You're doing it because you know it's going to hurt that person's reputation to accuse them of that particular crime, even though you know it's false.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and the whole beginning of this was trying to get you not to be able to express your opinions on the campus at SMU.
That is how this began.
He was trying to silence speech,
saying that I said, I called for the gassing of all the Jews.
Right.
And all of these fakes. So all of these falsehoods, that was the initial reason, was to silence free speech. So I do, my perspective, and this is why I want to hear from people in the comments section. We have so many legal battles that we could pick on a daily basis, and we usually don't, because even a good example with demonetization or restrictions, we talk with YouTube, but we generally try to focus on content. We generally try to move on down the trail and say, okay, let's adapt. We've created Mug Club. Thank you for people who support it. That's why we're still here. We wouldn't do it through YouTube alone. For me, it really is about the people. If I weren't me, and I don't say that to sound arrogant, but if this weren't the Louder with Crowder show, I never work again.
Exactly.
Right? Someone just runs a search to hire me and says, "Oh, you called for the gassing of Jews. You threatened to kill a man's son." Well, I'm not gonna take this risk.
Yeah.
What concerns me is other people out there who don't have a platform. So I understand a lot of them feel, a lot of college students think that if there isn't some kind of a lawsuit, nothing changes for them.
Absolutely. They're the ones who are sitting there, raise their hand, given a counter opinion to a professor who's clearly has a favor on the far left spectrum of
He's
the
protested
political
students, by the way.
ideas.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. His own students.
And so, what does a university say when they say, we absolutely appreciate this person who gets up and tells blatant lies, accusing people of crimes that they absolutely did not commit?
Right.
They're saying, you student, just keep your hand down. You student, just close your mouth.
Right.
Open your book. And go home and don't say a word.
Yeah.
At the very least, a suit like this would shine a light on this situation and say, hey, if you're going to do stuff like this, there are people out here that will sue you and make sure that you
there are
don't do stuff that's
consequences.
illegal.
Yeah,
So
by the way,
hopefully-
there are some other. What's the email we have set up? Is it tipline@louderwithcrowder.com? This is what you can do. Run your phone, Ken.
Yeah.
Videotape.
Yeah.
If you see a professor doing this, do that. Especially if you're in a single-party consent state, know the law.
Yeah.
But in Texas, you are. Not if you're not. I think there are 11 states that are dual-party consent states. At least shine a light on it. People say sunlight is the best disinfectant. Alcohol, probably more effective than sunlight. I mean, it's going to take a long time for sunlight
is that a plug for
to
me?
disinfect. But at least if you're not suing, and most of you can't sue, and most of you shouldn't sue, but you know what? We want to live. I love how they shut off the lights.
Yeah.
When we were in there.
Yeah.
That to me was just so. It was so emblematic of the level.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was born in the dark. Hold me by it. Charles Hermes didn't see the light until he was a man. So yeah, that's what you can do,
Yeah.
and not everyone.
And it's
I'm
helpful.
conflicted. I don't want to be the guy who sues people.
Well, and you know where I stand on this. I think that it makes a lot of sense because it's the same stuff that we're always fighting for on the show. You're fighting for people that don't have a voice like you do, right? Who wouldn't be able to do anything about it. And you're also fighting to make sure that our universities can change a little bit. They won't change unless pressure is put on them to change.
And there's some.
We got to ask him.
There's definitely some important considerations about whether it's appropriate to do it. But I think for sure the thing that's not a consideration, and before you even get to thinking about what happens with Louder with Crowder or with you, Stephen, individually, is the university. The university has policies. These policies expressly place restrictions on what professors can or can't do because those are the same restrictions on students.
Yeah.
And so students wouldn't be able to get away with standing up and accusing Charles Hermes or one of the professors or one of the administrators of committing crimes or those types of things.
Right.
And yet they want to say that even though the policies are the same, the application should be different because this is a professor. So again, student, you can't do this, but a professor can. And those types of dichotomies are, I think, at the heart of so much of the frustration. So our very first defense should be institutions that at the very least apply their own policies fairly when people are clearly in the wrong, like this professor is.
Exactly. My point as far as what this program is, I would only do something if I thought it set a precedent where students would feel more capable in expressing themselves, where students wouldn't have to live in fear. Because listen, when we do live shows, and we have a show, I think it's October 25th at U of M, the students come out. When we talk about people being othered, no one is othered more than conservatives on campus right now. Not the transgenders, not the LGBTQ, AIP, and a silent number 2 community. No one is othered more on campus than conservatives. And you see it with this professor. You see it with him actually actively protesting students and screaming that they're fascists. You see it after we've released this video. The guy continues to lie. Only if there's some kind of a precedent that does free up students. Otherwise, I think our time and energy best served in the show. Final question: how does it apply to the school when they, like you said, they support a guy like this and he doubles down and says, "I got in trouble merely for telling the truth about Stephen Crowder. Yes, that I'm a neo-Nazi and threatened to kill his son." And the school says, "No, okay, there's no crime committed here. This professor's still on staff." Is there any liability there?
Well,
responsibility.
you're going to have students who are paying tuition, or their parents, whoever, the student's probably the one, though, that has the standing to take some action to say that you're not applying the policies correctly, that there's a policy against students accusing people of false crimes, and that policy applies to teachers, but we're not applying that here.
Yeah.
And when a professor is using their platform to do those types of things, universities absolutely have the right to step in certain instances. Again, there's tenure, there's academic freedom, but there is certain certainly a boundary, as with the First Amendment, to what these professors can do. And when they're using it in this way, that's when universities absolutely can. And so the students who are the ones who are paying and who are harmed when this is allowed to continue. So at the very first level, there's that issue. The other issue is if they're condoning it, if they're they're standing in there and saying, rah, rah, go, do it. We want you to keep doing it. We absolutely have your back when you want to falsely accuse people of crimes.
By the way, just talking about that, he's a lecturer, which I found out from Reg, one of our brilliant researchers. Lecturer means more of a contractor, so he's not he's not a professor. So the only slander we committed was actually upgrading him. Instead of professor. Apparently he's only a lecturer. So the point is, even more so, it would be an easy break if they wanted to. There's a conscious.
More likely than not, it's a different situation where they have even more rights to be able to enforce their policies the way they should, and that undoubtedly these students feel should be applied.
By the way, Bill, I have a criminal trespassing warning at UT. It just means that I can't go back there for a year without permission, so put it in my file. Hey there, YouTube viewer. This is about the point of the video where I would tell you if you like this video to subscribe, only that doesn't mean anything anymore because it doesn't necessarily appear in your subscription feed. So this is about the point where, I would tell you to hit the notification bell, but that doesn't mean anything anymore because you hit it and nothing happens. So the only option you have is to join Mug Club at lidoutwithcreditor.com/mugclub. That way we don't lose contact with you, or at least bookmark this YouTube page. But I'm pretty sure that Google will find a way to screw with your bookmarks and switch it to Samantha Bee and CNN. So just join Mug Club unless you want us to go away. And of course, all the Bangladeshi children who will die as a result because they help us with developing costs.